right, everybody. Welcome to the Reality AMA. Today we have the team behind Reality with us. I am your host, Andrew Sear. And along with the Reality team, we have the first three wraps, which have been shipping on the Wrap Store, which has just gone live. We have Cyberlete with us here today, Chainstats, and Sentiment. Before we begin, we're going to just start with a quick intro to Reality for anyone new, and then we'll go through each one of the three wrap teams one at a time. And then we'll open the floor for any audience questions. If you want to come up and ask something, you can request the mic then, and we'll bring you up. All right, let's get into it with Wyatt. Wyatt, for
Hey,
everyone, hey, what's going on? For everyone tuning in for the first time, maybe you want to give us like the, 60, 90-second version of what is Reality, what does it actually do, and why should someone listening care?
awesome. So there's two major things that we do. The first is that we're like the first consumer style, like proof of work style blockchain where you can like mine on consumer devices, which is really cool. And to that end, and making that available to just ordinary people on their like cell phones and laptops, we're able to crowdsource the most important resource that everybody hears about in the news that AI companies really need, which is compute. And from the other lens, we're a developer tool for people building any kind of technology company, but even specifically like today, like AI companies, where you can crowdsource the compute necessary for your apps directly from your users. So it's like Uber for compute. And we do this through something we call the unified architecture, where the server side lives directly within the client. And so your users can invest without spending any money, with just spending unused clock cycles, unused compute on their devices. They can invest in products and companies they really love in exchange for crypto and tokens. And companies can get access to the compute that they need without having to spend any USD, just with distributing tokens. So that's the value loop. And I think this is going to be something that really underwrites this next era of the entire tech space. And it's going to make everybody's lives a lot easier, and everybody's going to get really rewarded. So that's Reality.
Wow, that was awesome. All right. Next, just short question of Brian. Brian, Wyatt covered the what. Maybe you can tell us about like, so what? What is Reality Unlock that you couldn't get from existing cloud providers, existing blockchains, or these other decentralized compute projects out there?
Internet scale. Like none of these other blockchains can really scale to the level that's required for mass adoption of like consumer grade application. So that's a big one. Like getting the design right is so important with blockchain because you can't unscramble the egg. And to get it right requires like deep thought about how these things work at a fundamental level. So that's really important. And as Wyatt said, like compute, right? It's like the new commodity, and you have Larry Fink talking about compute futures, but it's like a bizarre thing to talk about because thus far, like you cannot treat compute as a commodity because it's monopolized by a few large corporations, right? So it doesn't make any sense to talk about futures until you've established the spot market. That means being able to measure compute, right? Make it tradable, make it fungible, make it accessible, not have all these barriers to entry for people. And that's what we do. We make it easy for anyone to build, for anyone to host. And I don't think any other blockchain out there can say that, only Reality.
Oh, yeah. And then we were announcing today that the Wrap Store has gone live in Portal this week. And Portal is our app where anyone can download it and run a node on Windows, Mac, or Android, Linux. Now, for someone who just heard about everything that you guys just said, what does it mean that this is live today? Why is this the moment to be paying attention?
I would say that, first of all, congratulations to the three wraps that are here, Chainstats, Cyberlete, and Sentiment. There was an incredible amount of grinding to get to this point, and the tenacity of these guys is truly something to behold. And what's exciting for me is seeing the growth in these applications. they're all solving interesting problems. And I think it's very interesting for both the users who are using these applications to experience what it's like to have an application that isn't under the control of AWS and not having that lever controlling the growth of the application. But also on the hosting side, when you host, it is in a sense passive because you bring your machine over to the app that you're choosing to host. But also you become part of the team. You become a stakeholder because you're getting rewarded in the tokens that these applications have minted for your work and for your active monitoring of the hosting process. One of the favorite aphorisms from these ESG cronies for a long time has been like stakeholder capitalism. But really, that is meaningless in the context in which it's used in the political rhetoric. But in reality, it's meaningful, right? Because now you have all of these nodes who are stakeholders in the application. They are helping it grow and they are benefiting from its growth. So I think that's a really cool aspect that's probably underappreciated, but that people will start to understand more as these first wraps start to grow.
For certain. Yes. All right. With that being said, let's jump right into first up, we've got Cyberlete. Now, these guys have built the first reality app deployed on our testnet. They're solving anti-cheat for online games, but not the way that these other anti-cheat products do it. Instead of running on a centralized server that could be hacked or fooled, Cyberlete runs across Reality's network with verified compute. They're already in the App Store, and you could download Portal and find them today. And they're not just live on Reality. They've got actually some pretty big news to share about where the Elite token is headed. I'm going to let them tell that story themselves. Welcome to the stage, Cyberlete.
Hey, everybody. Jeffrey Monis, co-founder. Collectively, the team here at Cyberlete's been gaming for a few decades, so we've been things. One of the big things that we're solving is hinted at is cheating is a problem, especially when 80% of competitive players have encountered cheaters in online play in the last probably a week. So it's a big problem that we're solving. And yeah, Elite token, why that's a big thing is for our node operators. That's our rewards token. And node operators are what we are essentially building right now and essentially creating with the wrap tech. And these node operators essentially are our full mesh is what we're calling it. And essentially that is our anti-cheat node operating system stuff that works and collects data analytically, and essentially we will catch cheaters that is minted on chain, which is pretty cool. So to do all that work, what I just said, the Elite token validates that work was done and you get rewarded that token. Why that's awesome is because that is awesome. We're rewarding to catch cheaters in games. I think that's sweet.
That is very awesome. And the big news for the Elite community, can you walk us through what's happening with the token and what's changing and what's not?
Yeah, sure. What we're doing here is we're going to be migrating our token from Ethereum to RealityNet. It's going to stay on testnet for a little bit, and then we'll get to mainnet as soon as possible. The essentially Elite token is integrated with everything on the platform. What does that mean? So Elite token essentially right now is an application utility token. When you log in, you tip people, et cetera, et cetera. It's a work gated reward. So as of now, like the node operators will be the ones. If you own Elite token right now, have Elite token in your wallet, it's staked, et cetera, all that's being migrated. It would be better if you unstaked your token, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have it in LP, unstake it. If you have it in a staking thing, please unstake it. We'll take a snapshot here in the next 30 days. I think June 27th or something like that, from today's date, essentially. And we'll go from there. We'll take that snapshot and then everything will be ported over to RealityNet. That means new tokenomics will come out, our updated tokenomics, which is a huge document that will be out in the next few days. Keep a lookout for that. That will be a lot more explanation of what's going on. But it is migrating to RealityNet, and that is a big deal.
Wow, we're glad to have you, and it's very exciting news. So, could you tell us a little bit more about why moving lead from Ethereum to Reality? What is the team? What does that get? What does that get you guys that you couldn't do on Ethereum?
Essentially, like it just costs too much to do what we're doing. So to make approved, to batch all this stuff that we're doing, we're taking so much data in very fast, and it just becomes too expensive to run on certain chains. So this environment that we've created allows us to batch this stuff in a way that allows the machine learning algorithms to do its job. So without going to RealityNet, we would essentially be paying a lot more fees, and our users would be paying fees, and there'd just be a lot of fees. In this essential way, we're negating all that. We don't need a fee to run the RAB. We don't need any of that.
Fantastic. So you guys are saving money, and it sounds like there's going to be some more utility added into the token. We're excited to see those tokenomics and to have you guys on testnet. So right now, if someone were to download Portal and find the Cyberlete wrap, what are they mining from Cyberlete? Is it the Leet testnet token?
Yeah, they're mining the Leet testnet token. A small percentage of the rewards pool will go to testnet operators. We're figuring that all out now as we roll out, and we'll go from there. We have Discord queues. So what does that mean? We have communities coming in, games that are like joining our platform. So we're just going to always have node operator work for validation and computational work. So as our platform grows and as our node operators grow, the work continues to grow with the games and communities that use our platform. So as our game devs and people learn about us, they're going to start seeing the tools. When you go to cyberlete.net, you're going to see that you could create a team, join a league, join a tournament, join a queue. You can do it solo. You can do a team stuff. It doesn't matter. The token on top of that is an economic thing that will essentially let the gamers show what the value of esports is on their own. They will do it on their own. What do I mean by that? The node operators earn it for validation to work. Gamers need it to hold to unlock features. Teams need it to hold it to unlock features. Organizations like Cloud9 or FaZe, if they decide to join in, need it to unlock organizational features. Advertisers who want to advertise on a platform that want a lower rate, or say the anti-cheat, you want a lower rate, like a coupon, you need to hold it. So essentially game devs will hold it. Advertisers who want to come in, like Logitech or et cetera, who essentially think that they want to be in the gaming advertising, because this is a gaming platform directly related. So essentially everybody who's going to use the platform will hold it to unlock certain features. They'll just unlock the features that will benefit, and the gamers will take that on their own, like a WoW Gold or WoW token. They just take it and it becomes theirs. And that's the idea. It's their network.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's so powerful to have multiple points of utility for the token, which essentially equates, in a sense, to hold pressure by pressure, where the mechanics of it. We're really excited to see what this very large tokenomics document is going to look like and how it will interface with reality. We're glad to have you guys on board, and we know that you've been building for quite some time with us, and we're very grateful for all the energy and time, as you guys have been the first. So we have had to solve problems for the first time, or things we walked into in order to get this rolling. So thank you.
And thank you guys. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Next up is Chainstats. With us today, we have Harry, who's the senior developer for Chainstats. Harry and his team have been building on Reality for months now. Chainstats is on-chain data. for traders. But the interesting part is what they're doing under the hood. So what they're taking the indexing work that usually runs on expensive centralized infrastructure, and they're moving parts of that onto reality. They are part of the first cohort of wraps, and they're committed to our network for long term. And we are excited to have you guys here. Welcome, Harry. Harry, if you could just introduce yourself a bit and Chainstats, like what does the product do today, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andrew. Yes, I'm Harry. I've been in the crypto space on and off for a while and have worked with Brian a fair bit in the past. And for the last year, I've really been building out Chainstats and the platform. So what we do, skip right to that, is, as Andrew said, we're providing on-chain analytics for cryptocurrency traders. A little bit of a buzzy phrase, but you can think about it in like this. In traditional trading for stocks, bonds, foreign exchange, whatever, your data feeds are pretty limited, especially as a retail trader, as someone on the street. You can get price and volume feeds, but that's probably going to be 15, 20 minutes after the tier one banks. You might get some other data like order books and derivative feeds, but you don't have access to the same level of data quality and speed that the banks do, or the bigger players. And then those building blocks are really what everything else rests upon. No matter how many indicators you have on your chart or how awesome your technical analysis, if your price is still 15, 20 minutes behind the big boys, then you're limited. And that changes in decentralized markets like crypto, because data's there. The data's available for everyone. The blockchain is transparent. You can go and query the blockchain, query the ledger to see what transactions have taken place and how much, where funds have been moving, which is awesome, except there's a lot of data. And despite being free and accessible, it doesn't mean people are able to use it to create information and trading insights, which is where we come in. We're taking the on-chain data, the data that you can see yourself in the ledger, aggregating it, performing our proprietary computation on that data to provide new information for traders, new insights for traders that traditionally isn't available in other markets where the true source of the data is closed or incredibly expensive to get access to. And our aim is to democratize that and make it accessible to anyone who's interested in trading in cryptocurrencies.
That's fantastic. So it sounds like you guys also, a big part of it is tracking stablecoin net flows.
Yes.
Yeah, and watching USDC and USDT move on and off exchanges. And so you've already described like how that is very useful to traders, especially in this age of AI, agentic commerce, where AI agents are trading. So I would imagine that to have that data stored and to like know what's going where in real time is very powerful. So if you could actually walk us through the part of your stack that is now being built on reality, and which we know it's the net flows. If you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. And this is like one of my favorite things we do because it's so simple, but also very powerful. So this, ties back to what I was saying, that all the transactions are visible. We can see where funds are going. And for example, there's stablecoin net flows that we're going to be running on reality nodes. What this transaction is, what this calculation is doing is we're looking at how USDC and USDT are flowing in and out of exchange wallets. So, if you transfer your money to Coinbase or Kraken, you send to some address they give you. We're tracking those addresses to see where the stable coins are going. And why is that important? So it is pretty much a leading indicator of price movements. So if there's a lot of stablecoin moving to exchange wallets, it could be an indicator that a lot of people are preparing to sell. They're moving their funds to the exchange because they want to trade. They want to transfer that, exchange it for something, or potentially even move it into fiat, depending on the exchange. And if we see a lot of funds moving out of exchanges, that tends to be going to self custody wallets. People are holding that for the long term. We can infer. I guess it's a good signal for traders to infer what price movement might be.
Yeah, really.
And yeah, I was just going to go into the tech of that.
Yeah, go into the tech.
Bit, because the part that's gonna be running on reality. So this was a separate service that we were running on AWS, basically to monitor a list of the exchange wallet addresses on Ethereum, and every 24 hours it looks at all of the transactions that have happened that were in USDC or USDT for those particular wallets, and aggregates them, calculates, okay, what were the inflows, what were the outflows, and then what was the net of that for USDC and USDT. And then that's what you'll see, what our users see on the Chainstats app. And so that's a pretty intensive calculation. It takes a lot of computation power, and I've had a few sleepless nights where running that has brought down our entire stack. So it's really helpful for us to move that onto reality, to share the computation. And it's something we've been talking about with our community members for a long time, about giving them the access or giving them the ability to participate in the platform and not just be the end consumers.
Wow, really good. So how does running on Reality Chainstats' infrastructure costs? Like, where does the AWS bill go down? And what does that mean for the business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it really means that we can scale down the instance types we're using, which really means we can use cheaper instances. So we don't have to worry that, okay, we know at 11 p.m. every day, this NetFlow service is going to run, and we know we need to have a certain amount of headroom of memory and CPU to be able to run that. We don't need to worry about that. We can then reduce the instance, which saves us some money. Initially, that's going to be maybe a few $100s a month. And it doesn't sound like much, but that's just the start. That's just one of our services migrated to reality. And we have a bunch more, plus a roadmap full of services to build. And potentially those could go straight to reality and just bypass AWS entirely. And so initially, it's a nice saving, but I'm looking at the long term. It's going to significantly reduce our costs and allow us to serve our community in the way we want to, give them access to really power the platform themselves and share in the rewards.
Yeah, really powerful stuff, saving money and just seeing the larger vision here for rolling it out to all the other services. And most data products, they treat their users as customers, and the data flows one way and the money flows the other. But here, with the ability of having the stats token, like, what changes when your users are also the people running your infrastructure?
Yeah. I think it's sometimes funny when we say we have a community, right? We are building that community, but really right now it's more of a communal space for people to talk, right, and share ideas. It's not really like people are contributing to the platform yet. That's where we want to get to. It's awesome to have our users together each other out, talking, sharing ideas. But it still kind of feels like they're customers. And our goal is to not just democratize the data and the insights we're creating, but allow our community to power that themselves and share in the rewards so that everybody succeeds. I think it's really important for our incentives, Chainstats as an organization's incentives to be aligned with our community's incentives. And that's what we're trying to do. Because once the platform becomes more popular and people see it's not just you can come and get trading insights, but you can join as a node operator and share in the rewards, I think that creates a really powerful flywheel where Chainstats winning means the community wins. And that just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, Andrew.
It makes us feel warm and fuzzy inside too. That was really good. Really good. So in the old model, you have a company, you have its infra and the users, and the company pays cloud providers to run the infrastructures. The users pay the company to use the product. So the money flows one direction and the value flows the other, right? And it's transactional. And what's happening here with the people using Chainstats as well as Cyberlete and Sentiment is the people are running it. The machines that the devices, these home computers, they are the network. And their participation is what produces the output, right? And when they contribute, they earn from the protocol, which they believe in, they hold, they're in the community that they're already a part of. And that's the thing that Reality is really built to enable, where the users become the infrastructure. And like you said, Harry, the incentives line up in a way they never really could with traditional cloud. So really powerful stuff. All right, is there anything next for Chainstats on Reality over the next few months?
Yeah, I think getting started with our community, getting our community used to running nodes. We have an ecosystem of what we call chain guardians. And those are the people who are most likely to be node operators. We want to give them the opportunity first and then look to progressively migrate more of our calculations to the network to fully decentralize the analytics. We're still going to balance that with serving the data in a timely fashion, because at the end of the day, traders rely on our data to make decisions. And if it doesn't come at the right time, that could have a real financial impact for them. So we've got to balance that while also working to decentralize it and power that flywheel.
Yeah, we're all here about powering the flywheel. Awesome. Thank you so much, Harry. And we appreciate all the work that you've done on the Reality app. All right, we're going to move forward and go into, last but not least, Sentiment. David Carell, he's the founder of Sentiment. David, if you could just introduce yourself and Sentiment, what is it? Who is it for?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody. So David, founder of Sentiment. So yeah, just to give you a little bit of insight into what Sentiment is, at its core, it's a platform where people can create surveys, share opinions, contribute data, and actually get rewarded for it. So I think we all know today that most users' data is getting collected and monetized by big platforms without the users really benefited from it. So we're flipping that model by giving users ownership, transparency, and eventually revenue participation from the data that they contribute. So whether you're a researcher or a brand, community, or just an everyday user, essentially Sentiment is designed to make data collection more trustworthy and even more rewarding for everyone involved.
That's fantastic. What does Reality unlock for Sentiment that you couldn't get anywhere else?
Yeah, great questions. What excites us most about Reality is the trust layer that it provides. So one of the biggest problems online today is proving whether the data is real. I think we all can see that even more so today. So, whether that came from like a real person, whether it's being manipulated, whether it's trustworthy enough for AI or even enterprise use cases. But reality really helps us bring proof, providence, and verification directly into that data lifecycle. And that's incredibly important for us, especially where the internet and AI is heading.
Really good. And so if you could tell us a little bit about the data, like what kind of buyers are you seeing interest from on the data side? And like also what does it look like for a user to participate today? Where are you in the rollout?
Yes, I think the first question is what kind of buyers are we seeing interest from? On that, we're seeing a lot of opportunities across several industries. Traditional data brokers are one example, because a lot of the data industry today relies heavily on inferred behavior and unverified data sets. And so what makes Sentiment different is focusing on the verified participation, the direct user input, and eventually we'll be incorporating a biometric backed uniqueness capability. And what that does, it just creates a more stronger signal for businesses, researchers, and AI systems that are looking for that reliable data. What was your second question?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, the second question was like, what does it look like for a user to participate today? Like, how can someone get involved right now?
Got it. Sorry. So right now we're still in the early rollout phase, but users can actually access Sentiment currently through GitHub. They can run a node locally, and they can start interacting with surveys directly through the platform. So right now we're focusing on the infrastructure, the testing, onboarding some early users, and just refining the overall experience for a broader rollout.
Really good. And all right. And then is there anything that's coming next that right now the build is in the Wrap store, but what are you most looking forward to building next, or what's the very next steps?
Yeah, as far as what to build next, I'd say there's two big things. So first, we're looking at expanding our identity and verification systems, and that includes the biometrics I just alluded to earlier. And that will help ensure the data sets come from unique human participants. And again, that data becomes extremely important in the world filled with bots and AI generated activity. And the second aspect is actually growing our data marketplace side of things. And what that will ultimately do is just connect users, communities, researchers, and buyers together so the ecosystem becomes self-sustaining. And we think there's huge opportunity to redefine how data ownership works online.
Yeah, for sure. There definitely is, especially in this time and day that we live, where it's like, what is real and who am I speaking to? Is this a human? Is this a bot? The ownership of the data and being able to like own our data and then curate it and offer it for sale on our terms is a very powerful narrative. All right. So big thanks to Cyberlete Chainstats and Sentiment. Thank you guys, Jeffrey and Harry and David. They are the first cohort of wraps on the store. And before we open the AMA, I just want to bring Wyatt and Brian back for just a couple quick things on what's next. So we actually have our own tokenomics that have been unified. We previously have launched our tokenomics out in part 1, part 2, part 3. It's been a string of sequels. And in order to simplify it, we've created a unified tokenomics document that Brian has put together. Brian, do you want to speak to a little bit about that?
Yeah, I guess it's a cosmetic thing in a way, but we just decided to collate all of the tokenomics under one roof, one document. And it's a heady document. I guess we shouldn't pretend that it's like super straightforward. A lot of Wyatt's wizardry is like you need to know physics to really get it. But essentially it is like taking natural law and applying it to digital distributed systems to form economies, and economies that self-optimize, that allocate resources efficiently, etc., etc. That's good. If you want to really get into the weeds, you should definitely read it. I think it is a nice kind of overview of everything. There's some kernels of things in there that weren't in the original documents. It would be worth reading just for those.
Awesome. Yeah. And we're going to post that GitHub link after this AMA. Will be in the Telegram and Discord. And all right, awesome. Actually, before we open the AMA, I wanted to ask you, Brian, there are a lot of compute networks out there now. We spoke earlier on this AMA about how it's a compute as a commodity, but so much of it is monopolized. Yet in the crypto space itself, there are a lot of what's called decentralized compute networks, and Akash, Render, IO. What's actually different about reality in relation to these other ones?
I'll put it like this. A decentralized system is only as decentralized as its most centralized component. And all these other guys, they call themselves decentralized because, yeah, they're tapping into computers owned by their node operators, but they still have these centralized aspects, like they have narrow orchestrators and centralized schedulers, and they do like overnight batch compute jobs. And all of that is okay, it's fine for that limited purpose. It can work for certain things. But if you're talking about a decentralized internet, it's not going to cut it, right? You need a truly distributed system, and that requires what Wyatt has designed, has come up with. That's the difference, right? Again, we could go into the weeds there, but like, decentralized is such an abused term in this space. Like everyone who says it, it's like they don't really, I think, know what they're saying, right? It's like decentralized what? What aspect of your tech is decentralized? Because if it's not the entire system, then it's not decentralized. And the difference is that we are, reality is. And again, it's a non-trivial thing to come up with a design like this. That's why it's so innovative. So not intending to like cast dispersions on these other networks. Some of them have done very well, but we're built different.
If I may add one last thing. So there's been an outstanding problem in cybersecurity and computer science in general called a problem called remote code execution, which is basically how can you prove or verify that code running on some untrusted device actually executed or did what it was supposed to do. Otherwise, someone can perform something called an injection attack, similar to something called JavaScript injections, where somebody will put something on a website that then will get access to your computer, or then some other kind of a server, and then do a database jump or get access to data. And this is kind of where we've had success in the cybersecurity space with our ongoing stuff, like our sort of military intelligence kind of aspects. But we're really the world's first fully baked solution to this problem, which is a really big deal. And the thing is that these other kind of solutions can only really verify certain things, specifically called liveness checks, which is how Amazon Web Services works. But the problem is that there's no actual way to do this in a decentralized setting with something called a liveness check. In terms of the total security that's offered by these solutions and also cloud computing providers, it only works when we have some notion of centralization at the end of the day. So if you look closer into these systems, you'll find that there's actually some type of orchestrator or master node. And so with our fully baked solution, we've actually done basically what the second to last, I think it was, season of Silicon Valley did by finding a way for people to basically run any kind of software on any kind of server out there and just know for a fact that you didn't basically pay some provider to actually do their job. So yeah, that's the thing, and that's what makes us different as well from just a pure security standpoint. And this is really kind of what all this talk around moving away from smart contracts to zero knowledge proofs. We basically implemented the first kind of system that does this using zero knowledge proofs. It's something we spent a lot of time working with Jeffrey here as well. And yeah, it's basically, I think, a really core component that you'll hear a lot of people talk about in the coming years as people try to move beyond smart contracts and into zero knowledge systems.
Wow, really good. All right. I think at this point we are ready to open the AMA. If anyone in the audience has any questions, you can just raise your hand and I will call you up. Okay, if there doesn't, I don't see anyone raising their hand, so I'm assuming everything has been answered. All right, guys, then I guess from here we are good to go. And thank you so much for joining us for this. If you guys download Portal, you'll be able to see how the new wraps are there. And as Jeffrey has said, you can already start mining for Cyberlete's testnet token. And we are looking forward to their tokenomics coming out, as well as you can see ours shortly. We'll be posting in Telegram and Discord, as well as on X. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're excited to be building alongside you, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.